Well, howdy, folks. K-Dog here. Back on for the internet. I thought I would post this new recording. Now, this is this is in honor of the E.T. 30th Anniversary Edition that just came out on Blu-ray, and, it's 30 years. Unfortunately, I gotta say this. Unfortunately, I was not alive at the time E.T. came out. 1982 was the year my parents got married, and I was not born until 2 years later. I was able to experience E.T. on a home video. I never experienced it in the theater until 2002 when they did the 20th Anniversary Edition release. I did experience the movie on home video. I had never seen it in the theater until 2002, like I said. But, a lot of people, they gripe and complain over the 2002 release. And I can see where the gripes are coming from. When it came out on video, I received a copy for Christmas in 1987-88, whenever it came out on VHS for the very first time. And I, of course, was 4 years old. I grew up, I had to watch E.T. about every day. Every day. When I was so obsessed with it. As a kid. But it wasn't until 2002 and 2003 I really started finding things and collecting things and going on the internet and finding things, just all kinds of stuff. And in 2002, when the film was re-released for the 20th Anniversary Edition, Disney had released a storybook album that was narrated by Drew Barrymore. Now, the 2002 version of this is the only version that is around. It was released. There was a version of this released back in 1982. Again, it was by Walt Disney Records, or it goes under the name Buena Vista Records, but that's the Walt Disney Company. And so they came out with the CD read-along, which is the same story. There's been little things changed, and you'll know what I'm talking about when you hear the whole program. Now, the program is, was a cut down 12-minute version of the movie, and they did this. They didn't just do this with E.T. They did this with several other movies that were popular at the time. I did not have the E.T. one until 2002. I was able to pick it up real cheap. They only sold them for like $5. But they did this, with several movies that were popular at the time. Disney was the one that was doing a lot of this stuff, and regardless of who distributed the movie, if it was a real popular movie among kids and teenagers, most generally kids, they would do these storybook albums where they would actually hire the actor who was in the movie to actually, or one of the actors or playing a character that was most notable in the film. They would hire that person back to narrate this shortened version of the story. In this case, with E.T., it was Drew Barrymore. So we gotta imagine she was around 6 or 7 when she recorded this, and it actually uses dialogue from the movie. They do use characters of Elliot and Michael and blah 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 in E.T. They take it and recut it down to 12 minutes. But here is the Disney CD read-along of E.T. the Extraterrestrial. What I gotta say is a real quick thing about it. It came with a book. The Michael Jackson thing. It came with a book, and you follow along with it, and of course you'll hear the chimes ring. The chimes ring was to turn the page. Now, with this, they had to redo the book because they wanted to update the movie. And the famous ILM CGI version of E.T. So if you look at the photos, it's the ILM version of E.T. There is some photos of the original color and baldy puppet, but the majority of it is the ILM CGI redo E.T., which is it's okay. It doesn't match. It's not the original pictures. But I'm going to go ahead and play this. It's around 12 minutes in length, and I may come back afterwards. So here we go.
Hi, I'm Gertie, and I'm going to tell you the story of E.T. You can read along with me in your book as you listen to the story. You'll know it's time to turn the page when you hear the chimes ring like this. Let's begin now. I couldn't tell you about E.T. before. Elliot said it had to be a secret because it was probably the most important thing that ever happened. I couldn't even tell Mom. But it's not a secret anymore. So Elliot says it's okay if I tell you now. It was almost Halloween, and I was in the kitchen trying to find out what everybody was dressing up like. I wanted to go as a cowgirl, but nobody was listening to me because they think I'm just a kid. Elliot was telling Mom about something weird he saw in the backyard the night before. A goblin or something. And Laker was teasing him.
Maybe it was an iguana.
Well, it was real, I swear.
Maybe an elf or a leprechaun.
It was nothing like that. Nobody believed Elliot. It was kind of nice to see him getting teased instead of me for a change. The next day when I got home from nursery school, I heard Elliot and Michael upstairs. I rushed into Elliot's room to show him my art project. And there was the goblin! Yuck! It looked like a giant mushroom with eyes. I screamed! And then the goblin screamed! That made Michael jump back and knock over the bookshelf. Then I screamed some more. I'm a good screamer. Elliot almost had a fit! He slammed the door so Mom wouldn't hear us. Michael threw his hand over my mouth and dragged me into the closet. The hysterical goblin ran in after us, screaming all the way. Then Elliot ran in and slammed the door. Now I had time to look at the goblin calmly. He was smaller than me, but had long fingers and a squashy body and big buggy eyes. It looked like this big turtle without a shell. Grossed me out. Elliot could see I was still real scared.
He won't hurt you, Gertie. I'm keeping him. Is he a boy or a girl? He's a boy. But look, you can't tell. Not even Mom.
Why not?
Because, grown-ups can't see him. Only little kids can see him.
Give me a break. I may be little, but I'm not stupid. Elliot seemed to know what the goblin was thinking. He said it was sad and alone. And anyway, in the closet with all our stuffed animals, he didn't look so scary anymore. So I promised to keep it a secret. Elliot could tell that the goblin was hungry. So that night, we sneaked some food upstairs and watched it eat. He used his funny long fingers to pick up the food. Ugh, I wrinkled my nose. Is he a pig? He sure eats like one. I also brought the goblin a geranium flower in a pot. It made him happy. I guess it made the flower happy too, because it bloomed right in front of our eyes. Elliot showed the goblin a map of Earth.
We are here. Where are you from?
The goblin waved his long fingers. And 5 clay balls flew up in the air and spun around like planets and suns. Then he pointed out the window at the stars far away. That's when we knew knew he was a man from outer space. Michael said a man from outer space was called a extraterrestrial. But Elliot just called him E.T. I like that better. It's easier to say. One day, I came home from school and found E.T. all by himself. He was watching one of my favorite cartoon shows on the TV. It was teaching the letter B. I said, B, B, B. Then E.T. opened his mouth.
Everything.
You said B. Good.
B. And Birdie. And Bobby.
Good.
This was great. Now I had somebody my own size to play with. So I taught him more words. I took E.T. up to my room for a dress-up tea party. I put a wig on him. And you know, he didn't look so ugly. So I put a dress and some jewelry on him. And now he looked kind of cute. But when Elliot came home and saw E.T. all dressed up, he wasn't happy at all.
Oh, you should give him his dignity.
But then E.T. surprised him.
Elliot.
What?
I smiled.
I taught him how to talk now. He can talk now.
Elliot was excited.
E.T., can you say that? Can you say E.T.? E.T.
E.T.
E.T. led Elliot over to the window and pointed towards the stars again.
Home. Home. E.T. Phone home.
Elliot could tell E.T. was homesick.
E.T. phone home, and they'll come.
Come home.
So we had to help E.T. build a communicator so he could call people to tell them to come and take him home. Elliot and Michael got all kinds of weird things, like an old record player and a blender and an umbrella. But I gave him the most important thing, my electronic spelling game. That's how I helped. I helped to get on Halloween night. Elliot and Michael dressed E.T. up in a ghost sheet. Everybody thought E.T. was me. That's how we sneaked E.T. out of the house past Mom. Then Elliot drove E.T. up to the woods on his bike and helped him set up his communicator. When Elliot didn't come home that night, Mom was really worried. I wanted to tell her where he was, but I had promised to keep it a secret. Elliot finally showed up the next morning. He looked so tired and so sick. You know why? Because E.T. was lost. Everything was going rotten, and it scared me so much. Michael finally found E.T. in the woods and sneaked him back in the house. E.T. didn't look well at all. Michael and I were real worried, so we decided it was time to tell Mom. She walked into the bathroom and saw Elliot sitting on the floor next to E.T.
We're sick. I think we're dying.
Mom didn't know what E.T. was, so I told her.
Man from the moon!
E.T. reached out his arms.
Mom.
That's when Mom freaked out. She grabbed Elliot, Michael, and me and rushed downstairs to get away from E.T. Suddenly, people in spacesuits bursted into our house. They came in through the doors, the windows, everywhere. They were scientists, and they were looking for E.T. When the scientists found E.T., he was extra sick. They tried very, very hard to make him better. They put a big bag over the whole house and brought in a lot of machines, but it didn't help. Elliot pleaded with E.T.
E.T., stay with me, please. I'll be right here. But it was too late. The scientists wrapped up E.T.'s body to take it to their lab. I started to cry, and so did Mom. Elliot stared at E.T. so long. I'll believe in you all my life. Every day. E.T. I love you. As Elliot started to leave, E.T. opened his big eyes.
E.T. phone home.
He's alive!
Oh.
Elliot and Michael sneaked E.T. out of the house. The police and scientists chased him all over the neighborhood. And just when the police had them trapped, E.T. made all their bikes fly right over the cars and houses. I knew where they were going. E.T.'s people were coming for him, and it was about time. Mom and I drove to the place in the forest where the spaceship would land. Deep in the woods, we found this huge round spaceship covered with lights. And we all said goodbye to E.T. I gave him the geranium as a going-away present. I just wanted to say goodbye. I kissed him on his funny round nose. E.T. smiled.
Be good.
E.T. waddled up the ramp into his spaceship. He was holding my geranium. Then the door closed, and the spaceship blasted off. E.T. was going home. Every time I look at the stars at night, I think of E.T. I hope he comes back someday.
And there's the Drew Barrymore read E.T. the Extraterrestrials CD read-along produced by Walt Disney Records in 1982. And of course, you can tell it's obviously a kiddie down version. You know, the movie was a die-hard PG rated movie, and it had some swearing in it, just a little bit. And of course, it was all watered down, and where it wasn't so intense for children. It was told from a 6-year-old's point of view, as as Drew Barrymore's character of Gertie would have seen things happening, and so. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That one's not as spectacular as what the Michael Jackson thing was. And is it a worthy pickup? It's up to your leisure. I mean, it was okay, I guess, but it definitely it's not meant for the kids that grew up with E.T. It's really more for the kids who were still present at the time. Present kids that, the new generation that was being exposed to E.T. supposedly. But that's pretty much it. I think I'm going to close this out here. So from me to you, see you later.